The oil reserves in the United States are on pace to hit the lowest levels we've seen since President Biden was in office. And globally, oil reserves are forecast to fall to the lowest levels since 2003. That's according to the latest report from President Trump's own Energy Information Administration, which was released today. And surprise, this grim outlook for oil reserves is coming because of the war with Iran and because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, keep in mind, when Russia invaded Ukraine, President Biden tapped this very same oil reserve, which is technically called the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR. And Biden really put a major dent in our oil stockpile. At the time, then candidate Donald Trump railed on Biden, saying he virtually drained the SPR and said Biden was just trying to artificially keep gas prices low because the Russia-Ukraine war was causing an oil disruption around the world and jacking up prices. Well, now Trump is doing the same thing. He has tapped the SPR so much that experts say we could see the same Biden SPR lows in about a week or so. Now, that's not my opinion. Those are the facts coming from Trump's own government. This is a chart of available crude oil in the SPR in the United States from President Trump's own government, dating all the way back to the 1980s and then all the way to the end of May of this year. Now, you can see generally things in the SPR were pretty good until right here. This is 2022 when President Biden tapped the SPR. He pulled oil reserves out because of the Russia-Ukraine war, which was causing this massive oil disruption around the world. Now, it wasn't just the United States that had charts like this. Globally, it looked like this as well because of that war. The low happened right there in July of 2023 under President Biden. There were 346 million barrels of oil in the U.S. SPR. That was the lowest we had seen since like 1984. But then you can see right here, it started to go back up. The reserves started to get filled back up. That is when President Trump came back into office. But then, curiously, you see that drop, you see that hook? Goes straight down. You know when that is? February of 2026. What else happened at the end of February 2026? If you guessed the war with Iran, you'd be right. Then in March of 2026, as I told you in this video, President Trump announced that he too was going to tap into this very same SPR to the tune of 172 million barrels over 4 months. So from March until July. And that's why this line is going straight down. And as of the last week in May, you can see the SPR is down to 357 million barrels of oil. Experts say that if things continue like this with Iran, we could hit that very same Biden low pretty soon. But that's not all Trump's Energy Information Administration reported. Just today, it released this short-term energy outlook for the month of June. And despite President Trump repeatedly claiming that we are only days or a few weeks away from a deal with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz is going to immediately open, the very first line of this report from Trump's own government says, "We make the assumption that the Strait of Hormuz will remain effectively closed in the near term." The EIA is forecasting that oil shipments will not resume through the strait until sometime in the third quarter. However, the EIA is also forecasting that we will not see normal volume of traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz until early 2027. 2027? The Energy Information Administration says because of the limited shipping traffic through the strait, oil producers in the Middle East have reduced their oil production by more than 11 million barrels a day compared to the production levels we were seeing before the war started. So to meet the demand for oil, countries around the world have had to tap into their oil reserves. And the EIA says that drawdown of oil reserves from all 38 member nations will result in the lowest oil inventories we've seen globally in 23 years. And because that demand is low, the EIA report found crude oil prices fell in May, but still the EIA is forecasting we will see an elevated price for a barrel of oil at $105 a barrel in June and July of this year. The EIA said once the strait is reopened and gradually production starts back up, oil prices will eventually get back down to $79 a barrel in 2027. Side note, this report also talks about electricity production and the cost of electricity for you and me. And as I've been reporting, electricity costs are skyrocketing. They were up 6% in the month of April, but the EIA is now forecasting we will see another 3% increase in the cost of U.S. electricity generation because of above average temperatures this summer. So not only is your gasoline bill going up, but so is your electricity bill this summer. So if you want to see these reports for